Hello, and welcome to episode number 8 of Connecting Jewish Grandparents, the Grand Plan podcast. I'm thrilled that you are here with me today. Today, we are looking at what is your grand plan. And I am thrilled you're here in general always, and I really hope you're sharing this with others because now is the time to be spreading the words and really helping other grandparents become intentional about building joyous Jewish legacies. So, what is this being intentional thing? Well, I call it grand plan. What is a plan? What is a plan to you? So, we make plans, and as life changes, also we relate to plans in different ways. So, when I was 18 and fresh out of school, I had a position as a camp counselor. I'd actually been a camp counselor many times in many different ways, from day camp to sleepaway camp. But now I was out of high school and I was not in charge, but I was the head counselor in a traveling summer camp. Very exciting, very big deal. It was my first time in this level of responsibility. I was very proud of myself and very enthusiastic. And off I set on day one, where the person in charge of me said, "You're going to be taking the campers to the beach today." Okay, I was ready. But was I? No, because ask if I had a plan. No. I At sleepaway camp, you're handed a schedule for the day and you know that you are corralling kids to the swimming or to archery or whatever. And when I worked in day camp, you take them to the playground. You know what you're doing, mostly. But somehow I came in with no plan. I just didn't even think that I needed a plan. I knew what my job was. I was the camp counselor. But I never thought, oh, I need to make a plan for what is going to happen. Well, what do you think happened when I turned up the beach with 20, maybe it was, 11 to 15-year-old kids, boys and girls, all different backgrounds, all different types of kids who didn't know each other, mostly, to a beach that I didn't know well. And there had anybody made a plan for food or water or activities? No, no. And we just did our best with no plan. And was there a joyous day? Kids had fun. Kids also got hurt, did dangerous things, um, got lost, got dehydrated, got severely sunburned. It was really bad. Because I would like to say mostly because I came in with no plan. And so I learned very quickly that to have a successful anything, you have to really come in with intentionality and planning. Now, that plan, you have to be able to move and have flexibility with plans, but there has to be something there. And here I really leave it to you to reflect on how you personally relate to a plan. As an educator, I really try to find out where my students are and, accommodate and be flexible and change my plan based on who they are and how they're feeling. But let's say I don't want to. Let's say I make a plan and I stick with it no matter what. Whatever it is, either you're flexible about your plan or you're inflexible with a plan, but it needs to be there. And now I keep saying plan, plan, plan. What is the plan we're talking about? Well, my organization is called Grand Plan. And here is where we're talking about that plan of being an intentional grandparent. It isn't kids on a beach for 6 hours. This is your legacy. You can't just leave that to chance. It is a lifetime we're talking about. It is the future. It is what you leave when you go. It is everything. It needs to have a plan. So what is that plan? Have you given thought to it yet? We can talk about all the reasons why the plan matters. Okay, as I said, if you don't plan, you get sunburned and lost kids, but you really get lost kids. In a modern family where everybody is busy and distant and geographically spread out, what does that leave you with? So the plan, the grand plan, it needs to have love and values and traditions and structure. So I've spoken in other episodes about consistency. Okay, so we can make a plan that at a certain time every week we are speaking. And not we can, we need to. We need to. And that's a big piece of the grand plan framework. In next week's episode, I will discuss more of the ins and outs of making your plan with grand plan. But this week, let's just talk about what that can look like for you. So the next thing I need you to do is to stop and really think. Come up with three things. Yeah, just three for now. Three values that you most want your grandchildren to be able to embody. The things that you want them to hold, to receive from you. What are they going to carry from you? So you could come up with three for each grandchild you have, but it just could be what is the three parts of your legacy that you can articulate? And maybe for you, they came out like rapid fire. You know exactly what it is that you want to be creating and leaving, and that is phenomenal. If you want a little bit more clarity around really who you are, I encourage you to take the What Type of Jewish Grandparent Are You quiz, which is in the show notes, and share it with friends. I really find it to be a very insightful thing. Okay. And if you're still not sure, you've taken the quiz and you've thought for yourself, and you're still, think about the legacy you received, what you got from the people before you, and how that made you feel and how that built who you are today, because those play crucial roles. Okay. So hopefully you were able to come up with three for today. But here is what I find often happens after one creates such a beautiful and theoretical, hypothetical to-do list of legacy. In comes the inner voice of doubt. I'm sure you know the inner voice of doubt, the negative self-talk that starts. I'm not able to do that for whatever reason. Physically, that's too hard for me. My grandchildren are too busy. My kids are too busy to make time for me and my grandchildren. They live too far away. Their lives are too busy. I tried talking to them and they're not interested. You can keep snowballing all the reasons that you can't. Stop. Stop. Because you can. With a plan, you can. I don't know. Maybe I'll come up with some catchier rhyme to it. But really, that is what grand plan is. It's making it that your legacy will come to life, no matter what the roadblocks are, because everyone has obstacles, but they're not going to stop you. Going to pause here to say, please schedule a time with me to talk about it. If that list is starting to stack up for all of the reasons, from who your grandchildren are to who your children and in-laws are, your children-in-laws are, to who you are. I want to be able to coach you through those struggles. You can do this. It is the small and consistent acts that come together to form a legacy. I believe in you. In next week's episode, we'll talk about if your question is, well, if I schedule 15 minutes, what am I doing with my grandchildren? Because that's where Grand Plan comes in, of providing the concrete content, the joy kits of what are you doing? What are you talking about? How do you make it that they're not bored? The glue that I spoke about in episode 6, I think. Okay. So today, at the end of episode 8, you will have a thought or 3 thoughts of what your legacy should include. And maybe you've listed what your roadblocks are. Maybe. But now is the time to do it. I don't know when you're listening to this episode, but I'm recording it on the cusp of entering the month of Elul. Elul is, I think, in some ways, the hardest Jewish month. We get focused on, oh, the month of Nisan leading up to Passover. That's so hard. I have to get my house ready. I have to get the cooking, the guests, going on vacation, whatever it is. There's so many logistical details in it, and it can be very overwhelming. And really, every Jewish month is filled with big things, exciting things, hard things. But Elul is our last month of the Jewish year. And then we will be heading into Tishrei and Rosh Hashanah and a new year. And Elul is the time to go deep inside, to reflect, to plan, to fix, to cultivate who you are, who you have been, and who you want to be in the coming year. We talk about the word teshuvah a lot. And in English, it's often translated as repentance. A lot of, I kind of feel that the word repentance has a lot of negativity in it. But teshuvah is the word shuv, which means again. That you come back to yourself again. What do you want to be different? It's not, oh, I'm bad. It's, oh, I can do this again and do better. I can fix, I can polish, I can repair myself from the wrongs I've done because everyone does wrongs. But part of the divine plan is that we are perfecting ourselves, or maybe not perfecting, but working on improving. And this month is meant for retrospection towards improvement. So if there's a time to be working on your plan, your grand plan, both you as a grandparent, but really in the grand scheme of who you are, of the world, of your divine destiny. Now is the time to click in, to think, to plan, to do. It might not be Elul for you right now, and there really isn't a day in the year where all of this isn't important. But in Elul, every weekday morning, we hear the shofar, an auditory wake-up call for our potential, and a coronation of the divine, of the king. For Sfaradim, it's okay if you're not. We have a beautiful ritual of saying selichot every weekday, songs to reflect and to fix and to do. Because you can and you will try. And there will be some shortcomings. I gave Sfaradim a shout out. I'll include the Ashkenazic phrase of, well, I won't do it in Yiddish, but the Yiddish phrase that means man plans, God laughs. You're going to try your hardest. There are going to be roadblocks, But now is the time for you to start planning your joyous Jewish legacy. Step by step, you can do this. When grandparents act with intention, they shape not just their grandchildren, but they come to shape the entire generation. So please be proactive. As I said, come up with at least 3 pieces to what your legacy should be. Share this episode and this idea and the grand plan with others. Don't do this alone. Share the idea, but really, you could have a buddy system in this. And then set up on the show notes a meeting with me. Let's make our plan together. I know you can do it, and it's going to be absolutely grand.